Welcome back to Houston Newsmakers, where Congressman Gene Green is my guest. You're an old school politician. Is it okay to call you old school in terms of working with people, coming together, trying to find a solution?
I think the job of a legislator is to sit down with people you don't agree with and see how you can work it out so both of you can win. You don't get 100%, but if you get 50% or 70%, that helps our constituents, whether it be road construction, whether it be Port of Houston expansion, whether it be health care, you name it.
Well, how about immigration? Now let's talk about that for a second, because in the state, we had the bill passed in the state legislature, SB 4, which talks about sanctuary cities. You watch some of that going on. Maybe you watch some of the little fracas going on in the House there as they were getting into it. Your district, 70% Hispanic.
Yeah.
I got to figure that a lot of those folks are impacted by these kinds of bills. What are your thoughts about what you saw and what you've seen here in the state, and what's your feelings about going forward with some sort of immigration reform?
Well, first of all, if I was still in the legislature, the House or the Senate, I would have been opposing SB 4. I really think our local law enforcement folks ought to focus on protecting our families and our homes, the sheriff, the police, and everyone else, instead of worried about immigration. The federal government, we've plussed up the number of agents in ICE over the last dozen years dramatically, and we're going to continue to do that. I would like to make sure that a police officer, when they stop somebody, is more concerned with what criminal law they broke, and not that they may not be here legally. Now, if someone, and the law has always been, if you're convicted of a felony, whether you're a legal resident or undocumented, you will pay your debt to society. You will go to TDC or wherever, and then if it's a felony, you will be deported. That's been the law, and our immigration reform bill doesn't even change that I'm a co-sponsor of. But Texas and Mexico have always been intertwined. Business partnerships. It's interesting, the state of Texas probably has been more successful compared to any other border state of partnerships with Mexico in the business community. Most of our business community would not support it. Our chief of police here in Houston didn't support SB 4 because he wants his officers to actually be worried about our homes and our families.
Are you looking forward, is there a positive outcome to the immigration issue? Because everybody still seems to be really far apart on this.
It is far apart. When, President Trump ran on a campaign to build a wall for $40 billion, we have walls and fences already along the border from Texas. And in Texas, we have a river. If you can't guard a river, do you think you're going to guard a wall any better at $40 billion cost? So President Trump made that his goal as a candidate, and now we're seeing that it may not be possible, because there are ways to protect our country, and we can do that, and we've tried to do that over the years, and we'll do it more. But to run against a segment of our population, the Latino segment, is just wrong, because Texas has always been a partner, particularly with northern Mexico.
We got a little bit more than a minute or so left. I want to ask you, what are you optimistic about things that are working together, that where you and Republicans are working across lines to get things done for Southeast Texas?
Well, on the health side, we're working. We've had some good hearings on health, not on the Affordable Care Act necessarily, but on other issues. Medical research, which the medical center in Houston benefits so much from, and to develop the new cures for illnesses that we have, whether it be Ebola, whether it be some of the other things, Zika or things like that. We're working very closely across party lines. I do energy. I have refineries and chemical plants in East Harris County. We're producing a lot of natural gas now, which is great because our cost of our electricity in Texas is low, but we need to export that natural gas, and Mexico wants to buy it. So we're trying to make sure that that cross-border pipeline from natural gas from Texas, we can sell it to Mexico, because that'll help their climate change, because carbon, natural gas is less carbon than coal and other fuel oil. And so we're working on a bipartisan basis to make sure we can sell that natural gas to not only Mexico but other parts of the world, with exporting it out of our ports.
Well, I think that's a good place to stop for the moment, because that's a positive point. Everybody's together singing Kumbaya before you get ready to do that, make that happen?
It's not quite Kumbaya, but we do try to partner at the end of the day.
I'm an eternal optimist. Don't pop my bubble.
Well, if you serve in Congress, you have to be an optimist.
That's true. Congressman Gene Green.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Thank you so much.
We'll have me on.
You know we have to do it again. I have to get you on as often as you can get here.
Okay, thank you,
Congressman. All right, coming up, the Texas legislative session came to a close last week. What was accomplished and what's next? State Senators John Whitmire, Paul Bettencourt here to talk about that and much more.
Speedy Cash is the name you can trust for delivering cash fast. Speedy Cash has competitive rates, fast, friendly service, and most importantly, they're state licensed. Relax. Speedy Cash has you covered.
Love that Speedy Cash.
Katie Furniture has something for every style and every budget. Traditional, contemporary, or rustic with 0% financing, no credit check, and super fast delivery. Living room, dining room, bedroom, office, mattresses, kids' room, entertainment, rugs, accessories, and more. You name it, you'll find it all at our huge showroom located 1 block north of I-10 at West Green.
Shop Katie Furniture and you'll never pay retail again.
Pop quiz. What has tons of delicious smoky flavor and is only available at Church's? It's Church's new Smokehouse Half Chicken. Marinated in smoky, savory spices and cooked without any batter or breading, our Smokehouse Half Chicken is a rich, juicy, smoky adventure. Hurry in now and get our Smokehouse Half Chicken and honey butter biscuit for just $3.99. With a deal this deliciously good, you can't go wrong. Church's Chicken. Big pieces, little prices. And as always, get a great deal for the whole family.
It's the Great American Ford Sales Event. Just announced 0% for 5 years on our complete lineup of cars and SUVs. America's best-selling brand and the best-selling brand in Texas. And now all first responders, active military, and veterans get $1,000 appreciation cash on top of all current offers. Now get 0% financing for 5 years on all cars and SUVs plus $1,000 appreciation cash. Hurry in to your best in Texas Ford dealer.
Where can you get cash fast? Right here with a title loan at Speedy Cash. Get up to $10,000 cash on any year, make, or model. You can keep your keys and keep your car. Apply today for a title loan at Speedy Cash.
Love that Speedy Cash.
And welcome back to Houston Newsmakers, where I'm joined by State Senator John Whitmire, the Dean of the Texas Senate. That never gets old, being called the Dean, does it?
No, there's only one.
Only one. 15 years serving his, 30 years serving his constituents in District 15. State Senator Paul Bettencourt, who's represented District 7 for 2 years, but also 10 years prior to that, Harris County tax assessor collector. Before I start, I want to let you know, all of you know, that we're going to have a Newsmakers Extra segment with them. You'll be able to go to click2houston.com, see several minutes more of our discussion. What was the good and not so good of this just completed session? Let's talk about this session. Over, it almost seems like it ended as quickly as it started. Did you feel good when you came out of the end of that session, both of you guys?
Well, I'll tell you this, it was 140 days and it was a real, a roller coaster ride because the Senate got started early. We passed a bunch of Lieutenant Governor Patrick's top priorities, about 30 by April the 30th. And out of those top 30 bills, 20 of them actually passed the House. But there's still a lot of work to do. We didn't get property tax, even get a really good hearing in the House, much less actually getting a vote on it. So we need property tax relief. And that's what I'm looking to come back for in a special session.
What are you thinking?
Sessions are very complex. Each one is different. You got some high points, some low points. You know, the only thing we have to do when we go to Austin is pass a budget. So we did that successfully. Some of the earlier cuts were restored. Higher education is going to be funded adequately. We still have serious challenges with public education. The downside would be we have, in my judgment, too many social issues. The transgender restroom issue, I think, was regrettable that we took time on an issue that, quite frankly, the people I represent do not think exist. But, you know, that elections matter. Paul and I respectfully disagree strongly on several issues, but we also are sent to Austin to work together. He and I work closely on issues such as to attempt to have an election before you waste $200 to $300 million refurbishing the dome. The voters have previously voted on that. The county ignores it, so we passed it out of the Senate, but didn't pass the House. So you have some wins, the Jenny law, that you cannot lock a witness up in county jail without providing her or him an attorney. You have high points, you have low points.
Let's talk about the bathroom bill, which the Senate obviously was much more excited about on behalf of the Lieutenant Governor. You think there was too much time spent on that bill?
No, because what we've really done with this bill is we're now doing what's happening in North Carolina. North Carolina is playing basketball. Everybody is together on a bill that passed in the North
Everybody?
Carolina. Well, I believe so.
John Whitmire's
not. John Whitmire's not.
Certainly not.
But certainly it's a bill that just says the common sense of Texas voters is replicated in schools and government areas, which is you don't want boys and girls showering together.
Which they're not going to be.
Well,
don't today and won't in the future.
Well, and you don't want the federal government writing letters to 1,000 school districts telling them what to do, because that's 1,000 lawsuits, and that's what that bill would put a stop to.
This was a total partisan bill. There was zero.
Absolutely.
No, it was just straight.
No, there was one Democrat vote for it.
The bottom line is the business community is very concerned. Transgender school children have been adequately provided for, no issue. And I'm just so sad that some of my colleagues do not understand the transgender community, sexual identity. People that have successfully transitioned should not be required to go back and go into a restroom that's on their birth certificate. Then you would have a serious issue. But we've handled these circumstances for years without any discussion, and I think it's a private matter that ought to be handled by the families and the individuals.
That's what the bill does. It gives accommodations for transgender kids at schools, and also if your birth certificate is changed by a judge, you use the new one.
But you can't do that in Harris County, because our judges in Harris County won't allow you to change your birth certificate. So if you can afford it, you go to Travis County. But here's the point. Think of the time that took us away from school finance, flood control, transportation, and the real serious issues that people send us to Austin to address.
And Houston Newsmakers. So we're going to move on. You didn't handle it during that session. You're not going to handle it in this segment either. Okay, so let's talk about SB 4. That was a big deal for a lot of people, Sanctuary Cities bill. Where did you stand on both of them?
Another sad issue. There are thousands, if not millions, of Texas residents, some documented, some undocumented, that are fearful of what this piece of legislation would do. All the police chiefs of our major urban areas said, please don't go there. We need to interact with the undocumented community. But elections matter. The majority in the Senate and the House have passed something that is so harmful to our economy and to our communities.
Well, first off, all the economic studies that the Texas Association of Business came out were totally bogus. What this bill really does is just enforce the law, and if you're a sheriff, then if you've got an ICE detainer, you need to honor it. There's no constituency for criminal legal aliens. We don't need to be putting them on the street. And for example, out of Travis County, out of 300 people that the sheriff up there didn't honor their ICE detentions, 64 of them have terrible criminal records. We shouldn't be putting those people on the street. That's what that bill does.
And they're not placing criminals on the street when they're retained. This law has law enforcement asking you for your papers, and they can be penalized if they're not. You cannot have an isolated element of our community. According to Chief Acevedo and all the law enforcement agencies that we look to for advice and counsel, they say, please don't go there. The majority of the legislature went there. I'm hoping that it'll be enjoined at the federal court.
Well, we're going to continue to talk. I remember I was telling you we have a Houston Newsmakers Extra coming up as well here. There's more to talk about. We're going to talk about state budget, impacts on you. Where's the money for education? You talked about that a little bit. Tax cuts versus using it on health care. We'll talk about that as well. And
property tax relief in the Astrodome.
And the Astrodome. And the pension plan. Talk about that as well.
The city had a great session, by the way.
We'll talk about that too. And we'll talk about that. Final thoughts when we come back.